This video will show you how to create this cool, effortless, super easy and minimal concept diagram for your project, and let's get started. So we're gonna start with a SketchUp model because that is the easiest software to create your models. So what we're gonna do is start hiding these walls right here because we're only gonna keep the back walls on display. And I'm also gonna keep this very minimal and simple. So I'm gonna change my windows and remove all of the frames and just keep them as arched planes. This is a concept diagram for a precedent study, so it's not really my project. So the plan is a bit confusing and a bit annoying because it was imported, so nothing is drawn properly. So I'm gonna have to draw on top of it on a new layer the things that I really want to show. So this diagram is about the journey to the space. So we have this key space and I want to feature how you get to that space, which is a series of columns and arches. Draw any walls that are leading to the space in a very simple manner. And I'm also going to copy the columns and add them to there. And those columns don't have a base, so I'm going to delete the base from there and then copy that across the space. And then I'm going to continue drawing on the plan, making sure that all of the lines are straight because the plan doesn't even have straight walls. It's really unfortunate, but it is what it is. If this was your own project, I'm sure your plan would look so much nicer, so much neater. So you can either turn off a few layers here and there, or if it's a simple building, then you can trace over it as well, or you can just not build things and just import it from AutoCAD. We're going for a very minimal look, so anything that is not relevant to the journey of the space, just remove it. The concept of the space is it's a study space and it has a series of contemplation pods, or what they call studiolos. Clean them up from the top because it's going to be very annoying to clean that in Illustrator, which we're going to use afterwards. So you might as well clean anything in SketchUp before you import it. I am going to add this elevator here only because it is kind of important to the journey, because this space is on the second floor. You access the space through the elevator or the staircase, which I'll be building later on in the video. So for the elevator, I've kept it really simple, just drew on the walls and then modeled the shaft. And it's also really easy to add those guides in SketchUp rather than Illustrator and Photoshop, so you can do that really quickly as well. And then you can go back and add any detail to the elevator, or you can leave it as a simple box. It's completely up to you. I'm going for a very minimal look because that is what my lecturers really like, but again, you can go really detailed or you can go simple as well, but definitely simple is the easiest. This was a renovation project where they took a listed building and they've added study spaces and turned it basically into a business school. So they had a series of these arches that lead to the study space, which is quite important to the journey of the space because each one is different, each one has a different character. So I'm going to be modeling those as well. And it's so interesting how each one has a different language. So the first one that we've seen in the model had these steel doors that were bolted, and this was all existing because it was a brewery building, and I've been told that these doors were fire rated doors, which they've kept, and I think that's quite interesting. I'm gonna build the doors and rotate them so that they look more open and dynamic instead of just flat. So then I'm gonna move on to building the staircase. I didn't show too much of the staircase because I know that not every project will have a similar staircase. What I would recommend doing is turning one step into a component and then copying and pasting it. I couldn't do that for the first few steps because they were different, but I definitely did that for the rest of the steps. So then this is how the diagram should look like once it's done as a PDF, because I'm gonna add that into Illustrator. Now I know some of you are really scared of using Illustrator, but trust me, it is so easy. And then I can go in, change the stroke of these studiolos to be red because I want to show what's new and what's exists. But of course, if it's a new project and it's your own project, you can also do this red and black thing to highlight some key aspects into your design, which I think looks really nice. So all you need to do is select everything that you want to change the color with the white arrow and then change the stroke to red. That's all you need to know in Illustrator, and that's it. You can also change the stroke weight if you're not happy with it or you need it to be thicker or lighter, but to me, I'm quite happy with it. And then I'm gonna select everything, copy it and paste it onto Photoshop because I'm going to be adding patterns. I'm gonna paste it as a smart object so that it doesn't lose its quality, and you can also edit it at a later time if you wanted to. Select the space with the magic wand tool and then add a pattern. Now, I've created this wooden pattern on Illustrator. I didn't film it only because I'm still trying to work out how to do it, to be honest. Skip this step, or you can add some other patterns that you find on the internet. I just try to keep everything line work or line drawing. This is just showing you how I did the brick texture, traced over brick texture just to get the rough proportions of the brick, and then copied it and pasted it until it was big enough, and then copied it and pasted it onto Photoshop. So once you copy and paste it in Photoshop, paste it as a smart object as well, and then you can just scale it and change the perspective of it to fit the walls. And then using the magic wand tool, I'm going to select that wall and then add a clip-in mask. Lower the opacity and then duplicate that layer because I want to add it to also the other wall. Since this is not a perfect isometric, it's not going to be perfect, but if this was a perfect isometric, there are isometric textures online that you can download, which is super handy because all you need to do is flip it and it's perfect to the other perspective. But this one is not a perfect isometric, so I'm gonna have to change that a little bit. But as you can see, I made that texture a little bit bigger on this side, so I'm gonna have to make it bigger on the left side. But if I do make it bigger, as you can see, it scales up also the clip-in mask, but I want to scale up the texture but also keep it in the same place. So if I click on this right here, it will unlink the texture with the clip-in mask, meaning that if I click on the texture and I make it bigger, that won't affect the clip-in mask. Another reason why I love clip-in masks. So once you're done adding all of the textures, I'm also going to add some vertical elements to the staircase, because it's so easy to just add them in Photoshop rather than model them. I do think it looks flat, but since they're quite small and they don't extrude as much anyway, but if you do want to add stuff like that, you can definitely add that in Photoshop. So as a final touch, I'm just going to go over everything, make sure everything works together, including opacities, line weights, and so on. And this is the final diagram. It's such an easy, quick, effortless diagram that I think is so strong. Easily see what the diagram is about, what is it trying to say. It's quite straight to the point. I hope you guys liked it too, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments if you guys have been using Illustrator. What do you think of it? Have you tried it? And don't forget that now you can book a call with me on SuperPeer if you have any questions or if you would like feedback or help on your project. You can also find additional services on my Fiverr page, which will all be linked in the description box. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you have not already. I'm Rasha Shururu, and I will see you next time.